know why I'm looking at my tires like I'm about to race. I am.
We've got a full lobby already as well.
Good. So 29 afternoon.
Here we go.
It is full start check, right? We're not doing rolling starts. I can't.
We're doing, yeah, standing start.
2 times 2 times 6 with 50. Yeah, light damage. But yeah, said that. 10-minute qualifying. Everything else should be correct. We should be live because I just seen a couple of people join.
Yeah, we're definitely live. I can see it as well, YouTube.
Nice to see. I love how everyone still actually rejoined the lobby, even though I'm actively going to be switching this back.
Come on, just keep resetting it until the rain is coming down. You say, oh sorry, the lobby keeps glitching.
Yeah, doesn't look like we're getting any. Boo! I just restarted doing it as R08. First slot R8. Everyone else gets screwed. No. Can't do that. Can't do that.
One day we will. We'll just
catch everyone out.
It could rain in Gardens tomorrow.
Oh God. Yeah, I'm so looking forward to that. But yeah. Alright, hello everyone. It's round 3 of the eSports League here. We're running Spa. I'm just going to answer Chris here. And then we'll be good to go.
Yeah. On the screen.
Yeah.
I was like, where's Chris's message? Right, so let's go through who's actually racing tonight, because we've got some people who are newbies for esports, and we've got some people returning from round 1. So,
you're going to have to go off the top list, the list at the top of the screen for now.
That's fine. So yeah, for Project Platypus, we've got some new drivers. So we got Whack, he's racing in the Renault. So we know Whack's really strong around Spa, so they've brought him in for this round. We've also got Viking, he's come back after round 1, after his podium in round 1, and our third driver is Zico, tier 1 driver. He was leading the championship in Monday League after the first round. So we know he's a pretty solid driver. For the Arix guys, we've got some new guys as well. So we've got Keplero, who has challenged for titles. He challenged for the title last season, actually, in tier 1. So he's in the NSSX, which is apparently the quickest car around Spa in daily races. I think they were doing laps around it in it. Who else is in Arix today?
So it's Slim.
Slim's back for his third race. We know Slim well at this point. And
let me see if I can find the other one. It's Comrade. GTR 13.
A+ driver in the GTR. Okay. That'll be interesting. I know absolutely nothing about him, apart from apparently he's an A+ driver. So that's 3 potential race winners there, all in Team Arix.
I would say we're going to put a lot of stock about putting a lot of stock on that A+. But then you go down 1.
Tier 3 driver. I think he's like P14 in tier 3 or something. So let's see what this A+ driver could do. But he's in the Supra. He's back in the car that he actually performs well in.
Yeah, and
he's racing for who was he racing for?
Panthera.
Oh, ESP,
Wesley
okay.
and Clemson.
With Wesley and Cleason's back again.
Cleason has made his return. There's no Piggy today, but Cleason's back.
Yeah. And then for Pegasus, we've got some different drivers. So we've got Genrick, who is kind of the mainstay on the team, it seems, in terms of turning up to every race. We've got 2 new guys, Max and Chris.
Yeah, another A+ driver. So it looks like the Pegasus are going to try and bring a little bit more tonight that we haven't seen in the last 2
Chris
weeks.
Is an A+. Okay.
It
and
could
he's
be
in the Porsche. Porsche's all right round here. I wouldn't say it's the best car for Spa, but maybe with the Aero being a factor, it could be.
And
then for V2, we got Andrew. Lord Asseldor. Is this his first race? Asseldor,
yeah,
I think it
Asseldor's making his debut for in the eSports series as a part of V2, and then Skyline, the third driver in the V2 car.
Yeah, Skyline was doing well, and then his internet died, and he got booted from the lobby last week. So he was on track for I think top 8 comfortably.
Yeah, well, that's just gone through everyone, I believe. So I think that, yeah, Pegasus is saying they're switching around a bit, but I think that is a good sign. Just one more check of the settings. Make sure that I am not an idiot. Doesn't look to be the case. So, let's go. Let's get underway. I absolutely love that. This has nothing. This comment I'm about to make has nothing to do with the eSports series. I absolutely love that Perry has just responded and appealed his penalty already.
He's appealed it. He could be managing his team right now.
Put it into perspective, the Monday results came out about 4 minutes ago, and he's already responded, tried to appeal. Absolutely hilarious. But yeah, right, let's get into actual qualifying. Let's get to actual qualifying here for. You got that, Zico?
I don't know. He's decided he doesn't want to be the first driver. Yeah.
Yeah. Perry Dane priorities in chat.
Hi, Perry. Okay, so Andrew, let's follow him around because he'll be the guy that's going to be setting the first lap. Give some love to the team. So let's go through the bottom 3 because it feels like at this point we've got a top 2, Arix and Team PP. And then we've got quite a big gap, and then the bottom 3 are all fairly close on points. So ESP are slightly ahead of Pegasus, and then I think it's V2 at the bottom. Andrew is racing for V2, so he'll want to be dragging them up off the bottom spot of the standings, really. Yeah, and
he's in the mix. It's widely considered one of the best cars, if not the best car in the game. So he's got the machinery to do it. But we've seen V2 at times look like they're going to put a threat on Project Platypus and Arix, and then just fall off the
I think they're the most unlucky team this season because Mortal was in a great position in Spa.
Talking about unlucky, there goes Amru.
That's a skill issue, not luck. But yeah, Mortal was in a great position before the red flag, and then after the restart, he was just going backwards for the rest of the race. So he was on for a top 5. Skyline, like we were saying, had internet problems last week and left the lobby. Zico's really wanted to get past Andrew here, by the way.
Yeah, Snipes had a massive chance last week. Oh, Andrew's on the AstroTurf again. And I can't state it enough, right? Just as the driver's always on it again.
Racing on the outlap.
From a driver's point of view, the AstroTurf is the worst thing in the goddamn game. I hate it.
It's not realistic at all. It's too slippy. It's like joining a wet track temporarily. That's what it feels like when you go on it.
Yeah, also, can I just say it's, 5 all the way up to Wack here, actually. There's 6 drivers
here. They're all going to get each other's way in this lap.
None of them are giving each other space.
Viking's really stuck in between 2 drivers there, so this lap's not going to be representative for him if he gets stuck behind the car that he's right up the rear end of. But yeah, Zico is the first guy to go into turn 1.
It doesn't look like he's done it too well either. Maybe a little bit too deep over the left-hand side of that sausage curb. Never where you realistically want to be out of La Source. So now he's going to head up the hill for a Rouge and then Radion at the top.
He does lift as well.
Yeah, the Mazda. I believe he's in. Is that the Mazda?
He is. Yeah, he's in the Mazda. So it depends what they did with their Aero. If they took wing off, then it'll be much harder to floor it up Eau Rouge, but then you're going to get the benefit all the way down the straight to this next corner.
Yeah, the Camel Straight is going to be huge for when they're talking about downforce, and some cars are going to go with the lack thereof, given the fact that I heard some rumors throughout the week that people are going to be messing around with a strategy to take all the downforce off, which could backfire spectacularly.
Yeah, that's going to backfire. As soon as your tyres start running out as well.
Especially if it's rears first. I don't know in particular how this track works. I can imagine it would be
if you take Aero off, yeah. Especially around these like really long, fast corners.
Oh, they go too deep again!
He's going to get a penalty for that.
We've seen it so many times just in this first couple of laps
he
here.
can't be holding up Andrew. Okay, pulls. Yeah, good. I was going to say his lap's completely over. It looks like he's avoided a penalty at least. So he must have lifted a lot when he was.
Oh, he's avoided the wall. He's not avoided the wall this time though. There's a lot of gravel in that car. And that is your classic commentator's curse. He's avoided something and they go straight into a wall.
Zico's eSports debut is going horribly right now.
Oh, that is...
Yeah, let's ride along with Andrew because he is the first guy ready to settle out with Skyline just behind. So 2 of the V2 boys are going to be the first across the line. And what kind of lap times are we looking for here?
I was funny enough about to ask that question to you, but I think I've heard 14s thrown around. So
14s.
I think I think 14s
so
might be where
like
we
a
land.
12 then.
No, actually, it was a 14 from one of the faster drivers. It's a 17
okay,
there
17. Okay, so we got a lot of scope to improve there, but Skyline was actually 7/10 slower, and Viking was slower, as was Slim. So everyone has not managed to, and do you know what? Because they haven't managed to set a good time, I wonder how much that is to do. Oh, Wax got into the pits, so he bailed out of his lap as well. But how much that was to do with Andrew having clear air and everyone else getting stuck behind someone potentially slow.
Well, Zico did a 244 and they ended after crashing about 14 times.
Andrew's still on pole after everyone set the first times.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I had in various chats seen a 14 thrown around. Yeah. Very clearly, whether it be wind or whatever the cause of this is, that is not going to be the case. There is
I expect times to come down. They've got to, surely.
There's not 3 seconds in any one lap. Surely not. So 15s maybe. I can't see the 4.5 tenths in the first sector.
Well, Kepler was already almost half a second up in one sector there.
Yeah, I mean...
This is the car that's meant to get pole position if anyone's going to, this old Honda.
Yeah, BX saying that this is a bad wind direction. Yeah, I was about to say, I cannot see a 14 being the case here. Way too much time to catch up. We've got a nice view of 3 or 4
to the cars in front. He's going to get held up on this lap where he's improving as well. These guys have been pretty atrocious, all of them, at finding space on the outlap.
And Cap has been very atrocious at keeping his car on the track.
He's actually held it quite well there, but he can't be doing that in a race if he wants to be in contention.
Well,
he's completely ruined his lap now.
I was about to say, he had 4.5 tenths of a second. He no longer has that 4.5 tenths of a second.
He'll be down by 1.5, I reckon.
He's going to be down by something, a lot of AstroTurf, and then his car just did not want to realign with the actual track. And two entire seconds there. So let's go back to Amru. Let's see if the times are going to come down a bit.
Is he going to improve on his fastest time so far?
It doesn't look like it. It definitely doesn't look like it.
1.6 off.
What about the Skyline? It doesn't look like Skyline did, but a 71.
Well, it's like Slim improved, but he's still behind Andrew's first time.
Yeah, it's a 17.1 for Slim there. Wesley did a 17.4.
Yeah, Wesley's popped up into P4. Yeah, really impressive there for Wesley. Oh, knocked down at P5 by Lord Asseldor, his teammate.
By 0.014, and Zico's there as well.
Yeah, that's what we know Zico could do, not what we saw. So we just saw his bad lap, and then he's just put in a solid lap here. Kepler couldn't improve on his time because we saw he went off track as well. Max up into P7 on his debut with Pegasus.
That is incredibly satisfying though. Conrad done a 18 flat for triple zeros at the end, so that's just a satisfying time.
Not fast, but satisfying.
Yeah. The wind cannot be playing this much of a factor, surely, because this is the kind of time...
It's quite a strong side wind, I guess.
This is the kind of time we expect from normal Group 3. Maybe even a little bit quicker.
Yeah. That's true.
Well, that's 6 tenths of a second there for Zico.
6 tenths in the purple as well, that's massive.
Yeah, 3 tenths for Max.
What's going on a bit towards the rear of the field? Who's not doing so well in qualifying? Wack at P15 with a 223 as his fastest.
I was about to say Wackers and then he goes 3 tenths purple.
No, he's 3 tenths purple, yeah. Really interested to see how that Renault does under these league conditions and see if it's any more competitive than in Group 3 as Cleeson goes very wide there.
I love how we're trying to make Cleeson stick now. I love how this has become a thing. Piggy can't be joining us because he's not actually part
Piggy's
of...
not here.
He's not racing
Also,
tonight.
Ratty in P13, by the way, on his debut as well.
Yeah, and
So...
VX saying about the slower than normal Group 3. Yeah, I thought I was making that point at 15s in the last time. There's no way this should be that slow. But again, this is a me lobby, so it usually does have the reputation for being about 5/10 slower than they actually are. I don't know why or how this happens.
The sun has come out now, so I don't know if that's going to change anything, if it's going to be warming up the track.
16.6 there for
Andrew's beat his fastest time at 16.6. That's quicker than Skyline, who's now in P2. So insane lap there for Skyline, improving massively. That's V2-1-2 now.
It's huge. Auto 17.4, so Auto's jumped himself up a decent chunk as well. We're just going to stick with Clemson for the rest of the lap. A couple of people in front jockeying for position. Chris does a 17.1, Zico 16.3, Kappa 16.0.
Wow,
there you go.
The times are coming down massively now.
16.8 there for Conrad. Clemson to the line, or Cleason to the line, sorry. 18.5 Wax, the next one to try and follow through. 17.1 there for
first
Max.
Real lap,
Wack.
up into P13, so he can improve on that, but this is going to be the final lap for a lot of people. Actually, Wack might have been Wack's final lap.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see who's at the head of this train right now.
Yeah, definitely doesn't have a lot of the car, and the answer is Amru, who's going for his final lap.
Still at the front.
We'll follow through everyone as they go through their final lap now. Yeah, and Waxani missed the fast lap by about a tenth. So that's the end of it, and Skyline's not going to enjoy being that far out onto the AstroTurf.
No, that might have invalidated his lap, you know.
It might have. Let's have a quick look. It doesn't look like it. There's no red. It would flash up red, I'm pretty sure, if it's invalidated. Okay. So I don't think it has. He just got away with it. But yeah, Andrew's going to be the first one to the line, and then we'll go back as quickly as we can find them.
Yeah, let's try and find everyone.
It is not the actual way, but can I just say, in the top
he
four,
is up, Andrew, as well.
Different, 4 different teams in the top 4.
Oh, wow.
At this point in time. You've got Arix on top, Zico for Project Platypus in second, then you've got V2 in third, and Pegasus fourth, which is a very different outline to what Pegasus usually does in a qualifying.
Yep, they're usually not troubling the top 10, but yeah, definitely
all 3 of them in the top 7.
Yeah,
as it stands,
that's really good.
So they've realised that they're in a little bit of a fight here, I think, Pegasus, and trying to find some drivers to actually take this seriously. So Andrew to the line, 16.6, it's quicker.
16.6,
Skyline.
Not his place, but Skyline overtakes him into P3 with a great final lap at 16.4 there.
16.6.
Slim improves, yeah.
Auto, the next one. Who's going to do it? Then Wesley after that. We'll see if we can find him. 17.1, and then Wesley 16.7. Try and figure out who's the next one to the line. It looks like it's Chris. So Chris trying to improve, does not.
Doesn't improve. One of the only ones not to improve, so that's going to knock him down a few places from where he was a few moments ago.
We're going to try and figure out who's there. It looked like Kep just went over the line, didn't improve. Asseldor. And then Viking 15.9, and it had to happen eventually.
Yeah. The only man in the 15s, Viking, and that is enough to get pole position with a 15.902. So that's his second pole position in a row for him, because he got pole in the very first race of eSports, and was running away with it for a little while before the red flag. So extra bonus point there already for Project Platypus as well. 0.151 ahead of Kepler, and it's an Italian front row there.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, it looks very good for Project Platypus all over again.
Yeah, Project versus Arix once again, top 2, and then Project Platypus again in 3rd place. Zico on his debut, recovering from the poor start to quali, but he's got P3 at the end, ahead of Skyline and Andrew for V2. Best qualifying for V2 we've had.
V2 are going to absolutely love what they're looking at there, 4th and 5th, so they could try and make their way forward. They've got a very good chance at jumping ESP and Pegasus as well, and if they can capitalize on this, because that's been the case the entire time, right? When it comes to V2, they do well, they do bits of brilliance, and then they fall off the face of the earth, and absolutely nothing's going to happen. So they've got to avoid that happening. Slim in 6th. Wesley is the highest of the ESP drivers, 7th. Comrade, the highest of Pegasus drivers, in 8th. Again, every single team has a driver in the top 8. Auto in ninth.
Comrade is in Arix, by the way, so that's all
Oh, is
three
it?
Arix drivers
Oh.
in the top 8.
Oh,
yeah.
I got the wrong one. Yeah, okay, so it's Arex.
It's okay. We got new people. There's a lot of new ones today.
Yeah, okay. It's my turn to have a shocker. My turn to have a shocker today. I'm a loud blood. So, Slim, Comrade, and Cap, right?
Yeah.
And then
That's
it's
correct.
Viking,
And then in the
Zico.
second half, who have we got?
It looked like Auto ninth, so that's ESP. 2 places below his their highest driver, Wesley in 7th. Chris in 10th, Max in 11th.
Yep, both of them are Pegasus, so that's the highest Pegasus boys. Then Asseldor in 12th. That's really disappointing for Asseldor. I expected better for him, and he's with V2 as well. So the only V2 driver not really towards the front is Asseldor.
Yeah, and then you've got Wack in 13th, again, the only one that's not there for Project Platypus towards the front, so maybe advantage Arix in that regard. Then you've got Gerrick in 14th, and Cleason, if we're going to try and make that stick, at the back of the grid here for ESP. I'm going to very quickly put in a starting soon to make sure that everyone has actually figured out what they're doing.
Make any tweaks to the Aero, choose what tyre.
Also very quickly, Porsche's going to die off the line. It's a very, very fair statement, and it has happened every time we started one of these races.
It's just always going to happen. It's what you get for choosing Porsche. But yeah, just before we start, a quick recap of the rules. So we're racing for 29 laps, which is around about an hour. Strategy-wise, it'll be really interesting because some people on the previous race that we did pit after lap 1 and made the undercut work. So I wonder if people are going to try and do that again here, or if they're going to try and extend as long as possible. Both strategies seemed to work last week, so I'm half expecting dive into the pits for some of these guys on lap 1, especially if they haven't had the best of qualifyings and they've got a lot of traffic ahead of them potentially.
Yeah, and it's going to be one of those where we've seen a lot of different strategies before, and that's not going to change today because, well, Spa is incredibly challenging and a very long lap into outside of
There's a lot of corners, things can go wrong.
Yeah, it's a massive lap outside of your obvious your Nordschleife, which we'll be going to at the end of the season, Le Mans, which we're also going to, but try to prove a point here. But it could also rain, and that's one thing we haven't covered yet.
Yes, fingers crossed that there's going to be some rain at some point to mix things up.
All right, let's get going then. I think I've given them enough time to figure shit out. So let's go. I got about 6 seconds. Everyone, no one should be cold out of what I just did. I gave them forever.
No, they'll be fine.
But yeah, all right. Podium prediction before we start.
Podium prediction. I think it's going to be Viking, Kep, and Slim. That's what I'm saying in that order.
Okay. I'm just going to go with the front three. I don't see any reason to change that, as we've got a few red lights on now, and it's 5 red lights. And it's lights out, and away we go. That felt like forever as we're going down toward the source, and Cap has not got a good start in that NSX. It looks like Zico has overtaken him into turn 1. Amru going to the inside, trying to make it work. Skyline is on the outside now, and but playing with flirting with the AstroTurf there as we all make it through. La Source without dying.
Everyone makes it through in one piece. It looks like Viking and Zico had a great start, and they're now 1-2 for Project Platypus, with Kepler chasing behind, and then 2v2 boys. But we saw Comrade looked like he went off track there at Eau Rouge, so he might be getting a penalty coming his way. No, it was at Lord Asseldor actually. He's got a 1 second penalty, which he's going to serve at the end of the lap.
Yeah, I was about to say it was actually Comrade that went off the track, but he was forced off the track, and I'm not entirely sure which car hit him, but he was definitely forced off the track there as they go up the hill. Asseldor, the one with the penalty in the end, so some would suggest that it might have been him. As we go down now into the middle of the first lap, still Viking from Zico from Cap, as Cap, managed to make his way back with that NSX straight line speed. And you've got Autos also had a very decent start as well.
Yeah. I think Asseldor actually had the best start, so this 1 second penalty is going to hurt even more, because he was, I think, down in 12th place at the start, and he's already 6th after a couple of corners.
Yeah, one person that won't enjoy the start is Slim, who's almost sideways again now. It looked like he had a little bit of a wiggle coming through Puyon there. And yes, before anyone said anything, I'm going to embarrassingly pronounce that corner the entire night, so you're going to get used to it. I've had a few moments of people screaming at me for that before. Astrodor having a little bit of a wiggle out
all over
of
the skyline now. Everyone is still nose to tail. The entire grid of 15 drivers is still completely nose to tail. Andrew's got off track a little bit there, coming onto the back straight now.
And Conrad didn't even wait for Astrodor's penalty, by the way. He just made that work right up into Stavilo, and it looks like we're just going to get a little bit feisty today, I think, with some of these drivers. So they're looking for moves in places that you wouldn't expect them to go for moves.
Oh yeah, I think the track's big enough that it's going to afford these guys that kind of luxury. Skyline heads into picks. Viking and Zico have come in from first and second as well, so they've just handed the lead to Keplero, gambling on a completely different strategy to the RX boys. And, we were right when we thought that there might be some early drivers into the pits.
There's
Looks
4.
like 6 of them. 5 of them, actually. Yeah.
5, yeah, and they're all coming off the medium tyres. So actually, we're going to give a quick look and see what tyres everyone is on. So Clemson's on softs, mediums for the Pegasus lads in 8th and 9th. Basildor on a medium, Genrick on a medium as well. Weatherly, Slim, Comrade on a soft.
Let's stick with this little battle though. Slim all over the back of Comrade. These are teammates, so they'll probably be in the party, and you'd expect negotiating how to get this overtake done without either of them going off track.
Battle at the
and
front
it looks
as
like
well.
a battle for the lead as well. Andrew is challenging Keplero, and it looks like he's got past him. So now we have a new race leader in Andrew, and these guys are fighting whilst their rivals on the track have already made a pit stop.
Yeah, and there's one of those where Amru almost screwed up immediately as well, because he went onto the AstroTurf there, and he somehow managed to make that stick. Bearing in mind, he was going in a straight line, fighting with an NSX from 2000, so that's got a lot of straight line speed. It's not usually one you see the Mercedes winning. In any way, another bit of AstroTurf. Yeah, I'm having an absolute mare at the start of this race in trying to just speaking English by the sound of things.
So Andrew putting in a great performance here compared to Suzuki, because he's in P1 and he's starting to actually drive away from Keplero. He's managed to increase the gap to about 6/10 now after having that little wobble once he overtook Kep. And yeah, he's going to definitely be in the mix at the end, I reckon. Because we know how good that Mercedes is that he's driving, and he seems to be getting the most of it at this point. Keplero is on the mediums, though, and that's an important thing to note. He can go much longer in the race. Oh, so is Andrew. Okay.
I was going to say,
he's setting a lap time like a soft driver. That's
why
I'm confused.
He's just got the pace in there. He's got the race pace today, Amru, and Kep doesn't seem to have the same sort of race pace than the V2 driver in front of him. Slim on a medium and Comrade on a soft. But the problem that Amru has got right now is there's 3 RX drivers directly behind him. And that's never a good thing. That's susceptible to a lot of teamwork.
He could potentially destroy the strategy of 3 RX drivers, like the entire team here, if he starts to lose a bit of pace. They can't get past him.
Yeah, and I think Project Platypus would be Amru's best friend right now. Right now, if he was able to actually influence this a little bit. Let's have a look further down the grid. They got a couple of guys.
Nose to tail for 2 of the Pegasus guys, Genrick and Chris.
Yeah, Chris is trying to make his way back through.
Yeah,
it looked like they were doing.
Now.
It would look like they were doing pretty well in qualifying as well. The Pegasus.
Yeah, they didn't nail their final lap, so they fell down. That's nearly off track there for Genrick, and he's gonna have to let his teammate through as a result.
I absolutely love how Pegasus just jinxed their own guys. I see their chat. They said, "Nice start, difficult in the Porsche," as Genrick almost goes immediately off the track. That's absolutely incredible. It looked like your best friend is the next car behind Genrick here.
Yeah, Cleason straight back, has actually had a fairly decent start here. He's starting from last position, wasn't he? He was the guy who qualified in last, and he's managed to work his way up to P9. The top 10, like we said, are the ones that haven't pit, so he is technically only ahead of 1 driver at this point, but Let's just have a look down at the guys who have pit, because it looks like there's huge gaps between. So there's Viking and Zico pretty close to each other. And there's a massive gap of over 5 seconds to Auto. Skyline stuck behind Auto as well.
Yeah, I did not think I'd see Skyline stuck behind Auto, but here we are. There's Skyline's
Auto's car is incredibly difficult to overtake because it's got that insane top speed, just like the Honda NSX. This car's from 1997, so all it's got going for it is its straight line speed and its tire wear as well.
Yeah, but it has absolutely no idea what a brake looks like, because Auto will find out sooner rather than later. Wack is tailed off at the back of the pack right now. We'll keep an eye out on this battle for... actually, no, we're going to go to the front, because everyone seems to be really close now.
Yeah, everyone is bunching up. Oh, Andrew's lost the lead to Keplero.
Yeah, he has. Kep's got back, and that's pretty much... that's a symptom of straight line speed, I think, of the two cars, rather than anything else.
He was looking fairly comfortable ahead of Kep as well, so I'm not sure. He must have made a mistake at some point, because when we left him, he was not under any pressure.
No, but he is going to be under pressure from basically the entire Arex team at this point.
Yep. He's let one get past, and now it might be a case of the others start to queue up. He's reeled in that Honda a lot. I wonder if Keplero's trying to fuel save.
Oh, Kep's having a little bit of a slide on his car out of the Camel Straight
really
there. It doesn't look like he's enjoying the corners here at all, which makes sense. That NSX is not really a cornering car in any measure.
It's an acquired taste, that car.
Oh, and it looks like Kep's got a bit shallow, and that causes him to have a really bad exit. Here comes Andrew for the lead of the race, down the inside, going into Bouillon, and they've got it. And he's got the lead of the race once again.
Yeah, great overtake there from Andrew. Really good anticipation with it wasn't even that big of a mistake that Keplero made, but Keplero's going to challenge again. He's going to get alongside it. No, he backs out right at the end and lets Andrew take the corner. But this is a lot of fighting between these guys, which is absolutely great news for Viking and Zico, who are just working together with clear air, and these guys are not working together at all.
Can I just say, Aero is doing one hell of a job at holding these three up. He is single-handedly beating three drivers. And it's quite impressive to see. And this is what I was saying earlier at the end of qualifying, that V2, they have their moments. They have their moments, much like what we're seeing right now, where Aero is just holding on for dear life. Here comes Cap as they go through LeBlanc.
Putting his car in really awkward positions trying to distract Andrew, but Andrew still managed it. But Kepler is going to try and move on the brakes, and he backs out of it, but Andrew takes the corner really wide, and now again they're all losing time. Slim's gonna try and get through in the Mazda on the outside into turn one, but is he gonna back out of it? Actually, it looks like Kepler got quite a good exit as well, and they're just line astern into the fifth lap of the race, and they're still stuck behind this V2 driver, and Wesley's actually about to join the party as well.
I was about to say, Wesley's going to get himself onto the back of these four drivers who are going nose to tail through La Source. And it looks like absolute massive battling right now. And if you're Arex, maybe you start to toy with the idea that you could pit one of these guys to get them out of this train, because it is formed into a train. As Kep is going against Damru once again, now into the end of the Camel Straight, and that is well and truly the straight line speed of that NSX coming to the forefront, and it's put Keplero back in the lead of this race. He really needs to break away now. Yeah,
and he needs to get his head down now and stop making mistakes into corners, because any tiny mistake he's going to make is going to be exploited once again by Andrew. And if he can last until the next big straight on the next lap, he might be able to start gapping Andrew a little bit.
Yeah.
But, just looking at the chat here, the Project Platypus boys who aren't driving tonight are cheering on Andrew as much as possible, which is interesting to see.
I can't blame him. But I can't blame him, given the fact that at this point in this race, Andrew has done, well, not only his team, but basically anybody not named Arex a massive favour, as Conrad is going to the inside of Slim for some reason. And
he's getting impatient, stuck behind Slim now, and he wants to make progress through the pack. Maybe he feels like he could get the overtakes done a little bit quicker, and Slim's not really that close to the top two ever. But another reason why Andrew's put in such a good shift is Wesley on his team is in the mix with the top five, and if he's got a better pit stop strategy, he'll come out ahead of some of the Eric's guys, which maybe he wouldn't have done on pace.
Yeah, and we'll see here, right? Because it's not only the front that's battling like like madmen. In the very next pack, funny enough, Chris has managed to make his way through from the back here, and he's up into 6th, overtaken Asador. Got Cleason. Yes, we're trying to make that a thing. Cleason in behind Asador, maybe looking to the inside. They're both in the Merc, V2 versus ESP. Andrew is now into the pit, so all of a sudden, Eric's might be able to execute something now.
Well, it depends how long. They've got a quarter of a tank left around about all of them, so they could go another 5-ish laps, probably, before they need to pit. Andrew only had 17% in his tank, so he was pushing a lot harder than these guys.
Yeah, it looked like the tires
potentially
and the fuel
saving, you know.
Yeah, I'd say the fuel is going to be pretty big here. A couple of the guys we know that potentially definitely 1 stops for these guys from this point onwards, but potentially 2 stops for the Project Platypus lads at the back of the field. So if it turns into a 1-stop versus a 2-stop, we're battling on pace right now, which means Viking is quite the way away.
This is true, but also the thing is, the pit lane here is insanely long. So even though it's an hour, I'm still not sure that like a 2-stop would be quicker.
It's going to be potentially interesting. So we're seeing here that half a tank is realistically going to go, the better part of 11, maybe 12 laps if you can hang on?
Yep, if these guys have been really nursing their fuel efficiency. You can see Slim was upshifting at half.
Conrad's going again, by the way. So. Conrad is absolutely going after Slim like there's no tomorrow, which is weird, given that they're both on the same team, but I guess Conrad wants realistically to get as much as he can out of these soft tyres, given the fact that his 2 teammates are on mediums in front of him.
Yeah, he's proving that he is an A+ driver, actually. He's just joined his straight on the pace with the top leaders. He's actually a good contender for a podium, I reckon, because if he gets released by Slim, he could probably catch Kepler fairly easy, considering how much pressure he's putting under Slim.
Also, the undercut from the guys that pit on lap 1. That's Aero.
Auto's got ahead of Andrew.
Viking.
Okay.
That's Viking and Zico.
Okay.
So, if you're doing a 2-stop here, which may be necessitated by some of the fuel, especially if you're pitting early, you might be in trouble if you haven't already pitted.
Yeah, Viking's only 20 seconds away from the lead as well.
There's a lot that's going on here. But yeah, if we're seeing that the half fuel goes about 12 laps, which means you pitted lap 1, that's not enough.
No, definitely not. So they'll be pitting again.
Yeah, 2-stop has to come into play here, which means strategy comes into play, a lot of it. And when strategy comes into play, you're then balancing a 1-stop versus a 2-stop. Potential for range still exists as well, albeit
it doesn't look like it's anywhere to be seen, though, unfortunately.
It's very dry at the moment, but it still exists even at this point in time. There's a lot that still realistically can happen and will happen in this race.
Yeah, Conrad's still glued to the back of Eric Slim.
At what point does Conrad either tell Slim to get out of his way or...
I don't know why he hasn't got out of his way. Unless he's just extreme fuel saving, because look, he's not even in the red yet.
No, none of them are. It looks like Slim's got the least amount of fuel of the 3 drivers. And then Wesley's there, he's existing in the background, who really hasn't.
Yeah, he's starting to get dropped a little bit now. Yeah, he was a bit closer a lap ago.
Yeah, they are teammates. Conrad and Slim are both part of Arik, so...
Yeah,
that's
as you can tell by the livery.
If so, why don't they just swap? That's what we were just asking, funny enough. This has been going on for, 6-7 laps now? Since the pit stops at the end of lap 1, so we're in...
Is Arik Slim the Esteban Ocon of eSports?
We're intrigued to see how this plays out, because the team...
he's definitely trying to get past as well. He's getting impatient, Conrad.
Oh, we've seen him send it a couple of times already in this race, so... McLaren called they want their strategy back.
Iggy is dunking on the Arex strategy today. I think it's a bit premature to be doing that, you know.
Well, given the fact that it looks like a 1 versus 2, Chris is in. Chris is in.
Be interested to see where these guys come out with.
He can go to the end because if we're going based off the 12 laps thing, he has done enough. Yes. He could technically go to the end on his fuel. In comes Genrick as well. Can't imagine them being anywhere near anyone on the way out. We'll wait and see. Yeah, it looks like Zico's on half fuel, Vikings on just over half fuel, so there's definitely an extra pit stop heading the way of the Project Platypus lads.
I don't think their soft tyres would last. They're on soft, so they definitely have to at least pit for tyres.
Well, we'll wait and see how this figures out, because I can't see the Slim lads, the Arex lads.
Did you just assume their weight?
No. No, I just clicked onto Slim and was like, oh yeah, that'll do. That's the guy's name. Definitely I'm having a great time here.
By the way, Kepler's completely dropped these guys. He's 2.2 seconds ahead now, which is, again, another reason why I'm just so confused why Conrad hasn't overtaken Slim.
I was about to say, I think that's not particularly to the point of Cap, more to the point of Slim. And quite frankly, it's a question, you have to question at what point is he getting in the way?
I mean, look at him. Like, every corner, he's just taking it so visibly slower than what Conrad's capable of.
It's just looking the entire way. It's you can tell either Conrad is playing one hell of a team game to try and get Slim, just pushing Slim across, or he's probably infuriated in their party right now. Which is, I can't imagine. It would be very fun stuck behind someone who's obviously slower than you for the last 9 laps. Well, about to be going into lap 9.
Right, are these guys any closer to pitting? I think Clemson has to come in this lap anyway.
Can I just say,
I'm not too sure about Wesley.
Vikings now 17.8, so he is closing that
he's
gap.
like 3 seconds a lap quicker than these guys. So there's another penalty there for Asseldor.
Yeah, and it looks like Chris, Genrick, and Max are at the back by quite some distance.
I'm putting it down as strategy. That's because they may be trying the one stop, but we'll have to wait and see. Asseldor down into 13th, so he's splitting the Pegasus boys at the back now.
Yeah, Chris overtook him after that penalty. Amru 2 seconds ahead. Well, we've been praising Amru in his strategy and in his ability to hold back the Arex guys the entire time. So if you're going from that point of view, Chris isn't doing too badly. He's only 2.2 seconds off the back of someone who was leading the race not that long ago.
We have to wait and see how these strategies turn out, because tyres on the guys who pit in lap 1 are going to start going off fairly quickly, and they're obviously not going to have the tyre advantage over these guys that have come in a lot later as well.
Clemson now going on to his medium tyre. He's coming out in 13th with Genrick, who just screwed up Lasauce, trying to make his way through as well. He's got to get that done really quickly, otherwise Clemson is going to start pulling. But Clemson is on the mediums, Genrick is on the soft, so there is a chance here for Pegasus to make a move. We go down the Camel straight. Let's see if Genrick can start to close that 7/10 gap.
Clemson's not pitting again, so the fact that he's 13 isn't even that bad, to be honest.
He is
he's ahead of Genrick as well, so he's not going to have to worry about overtaking someone. He's got some clear air.
He's not ahead of Genrick anymore! And there's another commentator's curse! That's just notching them up at this point.
Okay, Clemson's strategy's ruined now, lads. It's over.
Clemson's on the medium tyres. He's committed to that to the end. Genrick just absolutely going by after a giant mistake, as Ross was praising Clemson for a split second there. And wow,
let's have a look at the fuel for the top 3. Let's see if they're going to be any closer to coming into the pits, because when they do pit, they'll be quite a way behind. At least Viking and Zico, probably Skyline and Auto, they'll be behind as well.
Yeah, can I just say Wesley's caught up another second. He is effectively back onto the back as he immediately goes into pit.
And he's got the undercut on them probably as well. So
there's a chance here. You could potentially go to the end. I don't know how.
At least on Conrad and Slim, I think he should get. Kepler is 7.3 seconds ahead of him, but the other ones were just about 2 and 3 seconds.
Conrad has now dropped outside of a second.
Look how low his fuel is, though. Do you think he's on like 0.9 and having to like fuel save a little bit?
Potentially, you might be right, but also,
He's
if
half
that's the
shifting
case,
in a Nissan. That's not good. Half shifting in a Nissan is slow.
Yeah, we were talking about this. We may have got 11 or 12, but we're on like 10, so that rules out any chance of.
What about the other two? Are they looking any more healthy?
Not really.
Kep's got pretty much. Kepler only loses it there.
Well, that was almost another one. We were almost notching up commentators' curses like they were going out of fashion for a minute there. But yeah, it's maybe one more lap if Kep gets lucky, but again, he's only halfway through this lap, so we'll wait and see where he sits. The other two are almost certainly in on this lap, and Conrad is fuel saving like mad. If you go from here, I think fuel one stop might be doable. I just don't know if it's a case of you'd have to go. I don't know how the tires.
Conrad could do it. I mean, if we've completed 10 laps and there's only 19 left, they could do it on a full tank.
Perry's hoping that a one stop's possible. Why? Your drivers are doing 2 stops. Your drivers are doing 2 stops. The one stop is the last thing you want right now.
Unless he's so confident that the fresher tires are going to help his team.
Viking are currently 16 seconds off of Cap. Bearing in mind that if there's one stop,
Zico's got 1.5. One extra stop to be. Oh, Zico's ruining his strategy here. He stayed glued to the back of Viking for this entire stint, and now he's starting to let the errors creep in. He's got 1.5 second penalty. That'll drop him like probably 4 or 5 seconds behind Viking now.
Hold on. You can go back into the chat and look at the order of the messages. That was almost impossible for me to figure out that you were meaning impossible. Calm down. Caps are coming in. Conrad's in the wall.
What? Oh no, he's disconnected.
Oh, I think he's missed the pits and quit. I think that might be the case. We'll wait and see. We'll get an actual.
I'm gonna rewind the stream a little bit there. I need to see what's happened.
We'll get an actual answer for you. That is not good news.
He overshot. He didn't enter the pits. He was beyond the pits. So he must have missed the pit entry, parked up and quit.
Oh, well that goes one of the Alex points.
I mean, he had no fuel left. We saw how low he was. So that's Arix's chances of closing the gap on the Project Platypus boys absolutely ruined because one of their drivers has rage quit.
And given that Viking and Zico are currently 9 seconds clear of Skyline, who's in 3rd, who's actually made his way back up. And then you've got Autos in 4th right now, which is a sentence I didn't think, given that we're racing against some of the fastest drivers.
Auto's doing incredibly well, it's got to be said.
In the server, at the very least, some of the fastest drivers around.
Can't do it in a Mazda, but put him in this old hunk of junk in the 90s. All of a sudden he's bloody tier 1 pace.
I can only drive 90s cars, confirmed.
Let's give Skyline some love, because he's up in P3, just quietly did the exact same strategy as the other drivers, so he's been completely out of the picture all race, but he's got a great shot at a podium. He had a lot of pace last week and he disconnected, and I think he's going to redeem himself from that.
Potentially. I'm just going to go back 1 second because of this. Wesley is ahead of Kepler and Anru.
The fact that he undercut Kepler, who had a 7-second lead on Wesley, that's mad.
It might be a 2-stop coming here for Wesley, given the difference in fuel.
Oh yeah, what's he done with his fuel? And he's on soft tyres, isn't he?
Yeah. They're all on soft tyres, this 3. But Kep's on a 1-stop, Anru and Wesley seemingly 2 stops now.
Will his soft tyres last 20-odd laps?
We're about to find
laps.
out. We're
it is
about
really
to
good on
find
its
that
tyres,
one
that
out.
Honda. That is one thing that it's got going in its favour.
Yeah, we're about to find out that out the hard way, I guess. In this race. Also, Chris is still only 2.4 seconds. If anything, that gap's shorter between him and Anru. So there is a chance here that Pegasus might get themselves involved just a little bit. Bear in mind that Kep and I think Slim are the only 2 that are on a 1-stop, theoretically, with the fuel we're seeing from a couple of the drivers here.
Yeah, if you think about it, Pegasus are only, maybe 5 seconds behind the guy who had a 7-second lead before he made his pit stop. Obviously, he's jumped Slim as well. Let's see where Slim's come out.
Slim, yeah, behind
Down in
Asseldor.
11th, behind Asseldor, who we've seen struggle with penalties, but the strategy puts him ahead.
I am extremely intrigued to get the to have a conversation with the Arix lads after this, because
check at the chat.
There is a lot of strategy here that I'm not entirely sure makes sense. When put together, obviously waiting and seeing, and maybe I'm completely wrong. We'll wait and see as to how the pit stops shake out as we go along. As to answer your question, Matej, the answer right now is Viking. However, there's 2 stops for a large majority of the drivers and a 1 stop for both remaining Arix drivers in the race. Conrad was the 3rd Arix driver, but he overshot the pit and quit. Or that's what seemingly happened before. We will see if we can get an explanation from one of the Arix lads that may be watching the stream, or Conrad himself. We'll wait and see at this point in time. Chris is 1.5 seconds ahead of Asseldor. Asseldor still holding off Slim as well. It's 2.5 between them and Amru, who's still behind the Kep, who still hasn't got ahead of Wesley right now.
Yeah, it's interesting to think, like, are they getting held up by Wesley at this point, or are they all just incredibly similarly paced?
Well, we saw Wesley was able to hang on to the back of Slim and Conrad earlier on, albeit very touch and go with it, especially he caught it back up toward the end. Kep was, what, 7 seconds ahead of those guys? So you could imagine that, quite frankly, Kep should be quicker, but it doesn't look like it up to this point, with 12 laps gone, or about to be 12 laps gone.
Yeah, he was good in clear air, but it took him ages to overtake Andrew at the start of the race, and he got overtaken as well himself, so he's going to have to do the exact same thing to Wesley.
Yeah, it looked like Asseldor dropped off the back of Chris just a little bit now, and Slim is getting his way back into this.
Yeah, Slim surely got an overtaking him in the next few corners.
Yeah, they got Genrick Max ahead of Clemson. So Clemson rears the field, albeit he's technically second last because one of the Arix lads had come last.
Yep.
There's a lot that could change the championship here. Chris has got himself a lot closer to Amru through the final couple of corners of that lap. 7/10 of a second there. It was 2.5. It's now 1.8. He might.
There's our answer. Wesley is holding these boys up now.
Yeah, that to say, he might be able to get himself onto the back of this, and if he can get himself onto the back of this, he'll be in a proper fight with Amru and Wesley. They all have to pit still. So he's got a chance to make something happen if he can get close enough. Wesley's going against Kep here, and Kep's got the inside line. And he's gone deep!
Oh, he's gone
off
deep!
Into the
he had that
AstroTurf.
move completed and he just breaks way too late, and now he loses the position to Andrew for his troubles as well. So absolutely backfired for Kep, who was leading the race. Got a 2-second penalty. He's lost the position. He's going to lose another one to Chris when the penalty line comes, and potentially to Asseldor behind as well, because 2 seconds is, as we know, a lot more than 2 seconds when you actually serve it.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, that one-stop strategy is just getting reeled in a little bit. Because Kep's just lost a bunch of time there. And, well, Viking's got clear air, no penalties, and quite frankly, just the ability to knock down as the lap times that he wants to do right now, where Kep is having to go through everybody and anybody right now. And here comes Chris, who's now within a second as well.
Yeah, that one-stop strategy's dropped him right into the mid-pack after his first pit stop. And he's just not coping well enough as when he was at the front, because he's having to battle and he's making mistakes.
I was about to say, we saw it with Amru at the start. If you put pressure on Kep, he starts to crack, and it happened again, funny enough, because Andrew put more pressure on him.
Yeah, Chris just goes straight through him. Asseldor's going to follow. Slim's going to follow as well. So remember, Kep had like a 5 or 6 seconds lead on Slim, who just sweeps through before the pit stops, and now Slim is ahead. So that is how badly Kep's race has gone since he's made that pit stop.
Yeah, well, we know Slim had no pace at the start of the race, so Kep's in a lot of trouble right now.
Now is Slim going to hold up this teammate as instead of the old team?
I think Conrad was frustrated, and that might have been what ended up causing him to overshoot.
Potentially.
Bearing in mind, that's Whack in the distance now, so Wesley is catching up to Whack.
Yeah, I think we need to give Whack a little bit of love here. He was another one who pit on lap 1, and we haven't seen at all. He was driving around all the way at the back on his own for quite a while. And he's in P5, just like Otto in P4. Very impressive driving from a guy who's not in Tier 1 in ALR.
Yeah, that's fair. And, well, we now know that all of the top 8 have to pit again.
Yeah.
In some capacity. Because whether it's fuel, tyres, I don't know. I don't know how the tyres will look in 20 laps time, or 15 that we've got now. But some of these guys have been on it since lap 7 and 8. So it's going to be one of those where a lot is going to change. Kep and Slim will hit the lead at some point. We know that, but it's a question by how much and, well, are they going to be able to hang on?
Yeah, I've got to say, since Andrew overtook Keplero, he's not really closed the gap or started to put any pressure on Wesley, so they're all just kind of driving line astern at the moment, and slowly catching Whack, whose tyres are a lot more worn than these guys as well, because he hit on lap 1. Yeah. It's nearly time for him to come in, to be honest. Maybe in the next lap or 2.
Only double.
If I was Whack, I know he's got quite a bit of fuel. Could probably do 2 more laps, but I'd come in.
At what point do you go? So it's clear that they're doing 1:14.14. I think it would be for Whack.
So that means next lap.
Next lap, yeah. The question is then is he going to be able to hold Wesley back by that point?
That's fine as long as you're not going to lose time battling with the car behind you trying to overtake you. But if you're going to stay out, then staying out is not going to be worth it for a little bit fresher tyres at the end of the race.
Well, Wack's not listening. He's staying out. It's definitely a 1:14.14 then. That answers that question.
I'll speak louder next time.
That answers that question. So it is a 1:14.14 for the Project Platypus lads. So there's the 2 stop there. We've got 2 stops for potentially the rest of the grid as well because of fuel and or tyres. Chris is starting to reel in as well, by the way. It's going to be
spicy. Wesley's not going to want to get stuck behind on the infield section of this track. He's going to try and get the move done in the next corner.
He's got to get it done now, otherwise he's going to lose a lot of time in that move!
And Chris went off.
There goes Chris in the back!
He was doing so good on his debut, but that is...
Oh, you can see it in the background. You can see it happen.
It's just sad. It's just sad, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's one of those again. Clemson come in early. That's interesting. But it's one of those again where Slim's got a penalty. So
Slim's got a penalty. It's all coming unstuck for the
Asseldor's got a penalty as well.
Got another penalty.
Asseldor and track limits, the best friends apparently.
And by the way, Wesley didn't get past Whack in all that drama. He couldn't do it, so he's going to be stuck behind again, and Andrew's going to start closing the gap as well.
You do know that somebody's gonna put a meme of that one, right? That's gonna go straight to the chat. Just the background shot of Chris just dying into a wall with the car in front. We definitely have a few of those kind of commands, especially in the server. And it's very interesting how this is unfolding, and I feel really sorry for Chris, who was having a really good race, and quite frankly, pulling in Andrew and Wesley here, and Whack for that matter.
It's because Andrew went wide, and Chris went wide in sympathy, because obviously you just follow what's in front of you, and that's what made him go into the wall.
Yeah, Andrew held his car.
What's going on behind? Everyone had their penalties, that's why. So Kepro's got past 2 in 1 because they both had second penalties from getting Oru's wrong as well. And they're going side by side through... I don't even know the name of this.
Jesus, that did not look like side by side while they're losing the car.
Somehow.
They both got through.
Meanwhile, Viking and Zico are in the pits, and Wax in the pits. Skyline carries on, so he is now the leader of the race. So at least one of the V2 guys is doing... something good when the rest are starting to make mistakes and allow the mistakes to creep in.
And Stone, as usual, just joined the lobby, which might honestly describe half the driving we've seen so far today.
It's a good name.
Also, Viking is out, and he's only, maybe 3 and some change behind Asseldor? And that is kept up the road, and it's about 6 seconds.
6 seconds between him and Kep. Kep's tyres are still looking pretty good, to be fair.
Yeah, they have to be. He's going to the end. He doesn't have a choice. He committed to the one stop
Yeah.
Oh, and he's...
Oh, he's making mistakes again. Now it looks like Slim's going to catch up to him.
I love how every single time Ross says something, the driver that we're talking about immediately makes a mistake. That is the third one so far. Asseldor's done it, and now 2 for Kep as well.
I mean, let's make no mistake. Kepler should be about 10.
Oh, Kep's just sliding a little bit
maybe
again.
Maybe 20 seconds further up the road, and he just keeps making these little mistakes. Well, and now we're seeing the Platypus boys starting to catch up massively.
Viking having a little bit of an issue as well coming through. No name. As we go now onto the middle. Well, into the middle. Does Chris have damage? He won't anymore, but he's a little bit far behind.
It's not a heavy damage race.
No, it's not a heavy damage race.
He has at least caught back up to Genrick, who overtook him before the corner when he still had loads of damage.
Zico's done his second pit and came out behind Chris.
He's got a lot of work to do, Zico. He's got a lot of overtaking to do to get that P2 secured.
Otto also came in and is 5 seconds ahead of Wack. Almost 6 seconds actually ahead of. Clemson done his 2, Wack's done his 2. So it's just the Pegasus lads back here that need to pit, and then Vikings, the leader of those who are on a 2-stop. Skyline is coming in. So this is going to be interesting to see where Skyline comes out in this mess of cars right now. Kep is still ahead of Slim right now, so Andrew and Wesley go on. They're continuing on for now.
Yep.
Kep, next one through. Bearing in mind, Kep is your actual leader of this race right now after he keeps going back and forth with his teammate after every penalty under the sun.
Andrew's still stuck behind Wesley as well. It's got to be pointed out.
Where is he coming out? Skyline hasn't even come out of the fuel yet.
Yeah, he's still refueling.
Oh, see, so that's Zico. Zico's gone by, so Skyline is now going against Auto.
Yep, Skyline had an advantage over Auto, and it looks like he's going to come out ahead, because Auto's still approaching turn 1.
Yeah, he's coming into La Source. Skyline is out of La Source. So, Skyline has had actually quite a sizable gap there on Auto, albeit Auto is only 3.6 seconds off the back of him now, so that's come down a decent chunk as well. Penalty for Max, as we currently see Zico and Genrick going at it, and they go through the chicane at the end of the Camel Straight, and it looked like Zico is being held up a little bit here.
Yeah, he's definitely losing a bit of time now. Genrick came in quite a long time ago, so his tyres will be a lot more worn. And Genrick did let Chris pass. And yeah, a little bit of contact. Zico's got just too much grip, braking a little bit later than what Genrick is. So he's tapping him through the corner.
Yeah, also Chris got by a decent chunk of time ago, starting to make his way back toward the rest of the pack. I feel sorry for Chris a little bit because he's definitely got the pace. He knows what he's doing by the looks of things.
Good pace.
We're going to challenge Wesley and Amru at the end of this. Here comes Zico to the inside. He's going to get this one. Yeah, up into 8 he goes.
He had some great grip through there, and yeah, Genrick couldn't do anything about that one.
No, and Chris is the next one in line. Chris is currently 6 seconds behind Viking, who is fighting Asseldor at the moment. But it won't be for position, because I'm pretty sure Asseldor's got a pit. And
yeah, I think Asseldor will be in this lap anyway. So I don't know if Viking knows that. But yeah, Viking's flashing him. He wants him out the way.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter if you're going to flash someone. That is not how this works. They're not going to move out of the way for you at all. Not blue flagged. He is ahead of you on track. Let's see if Asseldor's coming in this lap. Asseldor is going to dive.
That means the next person ahead of Viking is an Arix boy.
Yep, and now we've got the actual race on our hands then, I guess. 3.5 seconds. That's the gap between Viking and Kep. And there's 11 laps to go, and we've seen this one before, where a Project Platypus driver tries to 2-stop to have fresher tyres and a lot faster pace at the end, come up against a 1-stop Arix driver. Well, it
was last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a rerun of last week, right? It went one-sided that day. Aggie blasting right by Harvey on that night. Viking going up against Slim and Kep. So, quite frankly, Slim, you've got a job and you've got to do it well.
Yeah, he's got to really sacrifice himself here to allow Kep to build as much of a gap as possible before Viking gets past him. I think it's only a matter of time before Viking does in that Corvette, because it's going to have the straight line speed advantage. But Slim could really make his life difficult, especially on the infield section where overtaking's not really possible unless there's a mistake.
Yeah, and it's looking like Viking is starting to eat into that a little bit now. It's just under 3 seconds the gap as we now come into the midway point of lap 18. Viking is definitely going to have a go at Slim at some point, but Slim has got to do a job. If he doesn't do this job adequately enough, then it's going to be a Project Platypus triple.
Zico down in P7, but Chris is going to pit, and we'll have to see what happens with Wesley and Andrew when they make their final stops, because they could be in the mix towards the end if they've got the tyre advantage.
Yeah, it could be interesting where they go into this. Probably going to fight with Otto and Wack, who are probably starting to make their way through now as we still watch toward the front. Viking is now 1.4 seconds, so we'll take a quick look to see what else is going on. Whether they had the 1.7 second gap on Amru, 3 seconds behind that is Cap. And then you've got Slim and Viking. Actually, what's the strategy looking for these? And there goes Amru.
Someone's come in the pits. Andrew's finally come into the pits, so he's going to get the undercut done on Wesley now, which is massively important for his strategy. Being stuck behind Wesley for that entire second stint, I don't think was in his plan. Wesley obviously pit before Andrew the first time round, but has decided to go longer now. Yeah,
and it looks like we're going to go that way. Chris has come in now as well. Amru has a significant amount more fuel. Zico 2 seconds ahead of Gemrick. Skyline is the one we're realistically looking at here in terms of who is he going to get out in front of them. He should do, given that they're only just starting refueling now. Amru is, bearing in mind, Amru is Skyline's teammate.
Yep, Skyline up into P7, which I think is a net P5 after pit stops. So he's on course for a top 5 again, which he was last week. And he's got out ahead of Amru.
He got out ahead of Amru, and so did Otto.
Way ahead of Andrew.
Well, Otto only just out ahead of Amru, so this could get very interesting for these, between these two toward the end. Asador is out ahead of Chris, who's coming out with Wack with a penalty. So Chris coming out ahead of Wack, and Chris doing a decent job of it.
Wack might be able to get him, though, after Eau Rouge on the long lead up to the next corner.
The issue that Wack has, he'll have to give that penalty, that place straight back sooner rather than later. We'll keep with this as we go down the Camel Straight then, before going back to the front, because those triangles on the mini-map for second, third and fourth look a lot closer than they were before. So
indeed.
Wack going down into the end of the Camel Straight is not close enough to Chris to make that work, so Chris should be able to hold on and potentially build a gap now. Otto 1.5 ahead of Amru. We're going to go up the thing, and Zico must have had an issue because Genrick has gone back by him.
Oh dear, and he's got a second penalty, so that's the mistake. That's just rubbing salt in the wound. You get overtaken and you're going to have to slow down, and it's going to take a few laps for him to catch back up to the back of Genrick.
I can only assume that was on the outside of Peon. Only assume. Because he was 3 seconds ahead of Genrick. He's now comfortably back and is about to be even further back. So we're going to go... Skyline's nowhere near, so we're going to go to the front as Viking.
Really fighting Slim.
Oh, he's got really close now, so here we go. We're on lap 19, we're about to head into lap 20. Slim has a job. Viking can see the NSX in the distance. The real
Slim's
question...
good at keeping people behind. He kept his teammate behind for half the race, so expecting even tougher fight against someone who's not on his team.
Here we go again, Rick. So Zico's position drop there didn't last too long. Quite frankly, this is going to be easy work. I can't imagine this not being easy work here for Viking. Slim needs to just make this as hard as possible with a lot of the AstroTurf on the exit already on there for Viking. As they head down the Camel now.
Yeah, but it looks like Viking's got the overspeed and the inside line for the next corner. So if he doesn't keep this position,
surely.
He takes the corner perfectly. And that's P3, net P2, and he's only 1.4 seconds away from Keplero.
Yeah, if you're Keplero, you are not loving the fact that you've just seen that happen behind you, because that is a very fast call there, and there is nothing Keplero is going to be able to do about that now.
No, he just has to be faster, that's it. He has to put the foot down now, stop making mistakes.
Wesley's got a 4.3 second gap, so that gap's reopened back up, by the way.
Yeah, Wesley's looking really comfortable, even though he definitely has to make another stop. It's going to be a splash and dash.
Yeah,
he's at the end of this lap as well, by the looks of things.
I would have been very interested to see what he did if he had actually gone one stop, Wesley. Because he wouldn't be too far behind the three at the front, I don't think.
Yep. Especially with the mistakes that they all made in that middle stint.
Yeah, Zico making a gigantic couple of mistakes as well, so he could have had a top 4. We'll wait and see if he is still going to be top 4. We expect him to be somewhere where Anru is. But actually, talking about Anru, let's have a very quick look and see if he's there with Auto.
Still stuck behind Auto.
He is, but he's a lot closer now than he was before, and he looks like he was almost going for something there, which would have been an interesting choice. He is about 0.3 of a second. In this battle, the 3 guys for Project Platypus today is Viking, Zico, and Wack. Wedley now into the pit. So now we're going to get a real good look at where Wedley's going to come. We see Andrew tried to undercut him, but then came out and has been stuck behind Auto since that pit stop. He's got to try and make something work here.
Yeah, he's got to get past him very quickly here. Otherwise, when Wesley comes out of the pits, he might end up ahead of both of these guys.
One thing's for sure, Wedley cannot complain with the job that Otto's just done for him.
Yes, they are on the same team. I did forget about that. That's great teamwork, actually. Otto's just making it really difficult for Andrew. Andrew could be 5 seconds up the road, technically. He's lapping in the 2:17s pretty solidly, Otto, right now.
Well, let's have a look. So Wedley's coming out now. Skyline is there. He's coming out against Skyline even. And Skyline's just gone by. But Wesley will have fresher tyres and less fuel.
And he'll have a run after the hill.
This could be very interesting. Wesley might still get his top 5 anyway.
Yeah, Wesley has finished in the top 5 before in eSports as well. So he's got the pedigree for it.
And Skyline currently 11 seconds off the back of Zika. So Zika's going to have to make a mistake or 3 for that to be an overtake. Viking is also 7/10 behind Kep, so we'll just note that and then go back to Skyline Wedley for a split second. As they head into the infield now, we've also got a battle behind, which is Auto and Anru, 2.9 seconds that split these, that split Auto and Wedley as well. So there is a potential that this turns into a 4-way battle. But for now, we will go back to the front of the grid because we have a little bit of a battle with 8 laps and some change remaining.
Yeah, 9/10 is the gap now, so Vikings kind of closed the gap by half a second in recent laps. And yeah, Kepler's managed to steady the ship a little bit in terms of his pace. Vikings in the low 2:16s. What's Kepler lapping in at the moment?
High
16s.
So
it's basically 0.6 of a second is the difference between them two.
The real question is, how much is it going to take in terms of pace to actually overtake this NSX? Because that NSX in a straight line is incredibly quick. The Corvette is too.
And we'll see how they match up, I suppose, because I'd say maybe the NSX is slightly better on top speed.
Yeah, it probably is. The question that you're asking then is, what's the number that Viking needs to have per lap to be able to get him? Because albeit there is still a ton of time left in this race, Viking is starting to run out of time. It's one of those where
he's got to run on him though. Look at it. It's closing the gap.
We say this. Is it going to happen this lap? It might do. Viking's got the outside. He's in front, but Cap's going to late brake. Try and get himself involved.
The corner together. They both actually make it. Viking's got his nose in front now, but Kepler's got the inside line for this corner, and he goes for it. I thought he was going to lose it for a second, and it looks like Viking's gone off the track.
Viking's off the track, and I think he might have been hit by Kep, because Kep has slowed down.
Yeah, Kep slowed down, and now Slim is in the mix as well.
And all of a sudden, it looked like Kep was able to hold on for a split second there, but maybe, just maybe, Kep hit Viking.
Yeah, he must have nudged him into the gravel. That's the only explanation for it. Now Viking's trying to warm his tyres up a little bit because they'll still be a bit dirty from going through the gravel. And that might be it. That might be the overtake for the win, actually.
Honestly, if I was Kep, I would not have waited. If I got a penalty in the end, I got a penalty in the end. Yeah, would not have waited
going
here.
For it anyway. He's not giving up just yet. He might have more worn tyres, but he's still on the back of Viking for now.
It was incredibly interesting because we saw him in the chicane after the Camel Straight. He did lose the car a little bit, Cap, and I think that might have been what prompted the dive on the inside. Yeah. Because he knew if Viking got it, it was over. So it was a case of Cat knew he had to do something, and that's what he came up with. And admittedly, on the stream, it didn't even look like he had hit him that much at all, actually. It looked like he had almost worked it to perfection, but waited up.
No, he must have given him a little nudge.
Yeah, must have waited up, and well, now we have a freeway fight.
Well, yep, he stayed glued to the back of Viking, and we're about to approach the best overtaking spot on the track, so Kepler might have a chance.
If he can keep his slipstream here through La Source and then up Rouge, it could be absolutely huge. Bear in mind, Kep does have the faster car, albeit maybe not the faster car on its tyres, given the fact that Viking's on fresher tyres. But if he's in a faster car top speed, I'm pretty sure. So he might be able to go for this, and he got the slipstream.
He has the run, and Viking's already going defensive. He's not taking any chances.
Yeah, he made the move immediately to break the toe, and he is just about...
He's got a little bit too much, yeah. He's got it for this lap, and now Viking needs to really focus on the corners ahead and building a little bit of a gap so Kepler stops being so much of a threat right behind him.
Yeah, he's got to get something right now, Viking, because he needs a gap. Because the longer the gap isn't there, and it's about half a second, you'll just fancy that at some point with Viking's pad tyre wear, the Cap will just get it back at some point.
Yeah, the Corvette doesn't have great tyre wear, to be fair, so
it'll
be going off quicker. There'll be a point where they kind of equalise the tyre wear between these two cars, potentially. Yeah.
And you figure out, you go with Vikings, also Viking being on pad as well. With Vikings, one of the most notorious drivers in the league for absolutely shredding his tyres.
Yes.
So his tyres are going to go off quickly, so it's absolutely paramount for the next 6 laps that Kep holds on. On one side of the coin, it's paramount that Kep holds on. On the other side of the coin, it's paramount that Viking gets a gap, and he needs to do it quickly.
Yep, and Viking's tyre wear is actually a good point to kind of segue into the fact that PD are about to bring back punctures. So the second half of this eSports season might end up being interesting if cars are getting punctured left, right, and centre.
Yeah, Iggy's saying that he doesn't want to lose his tyre shredder Notori.
Iggy's not as bad at shredding tyres. I'm sorry, Iggy, this is one title you're not going to win.
Yeah, it's one of those that Viking is definitely massively bad on the tyres. We hear him complain about it every single week. It's an impressive thing at this point. But yeah, Cat still hanging on, by the way, still within half a second. And look, the tyre wear is seemingly rather even now.
It's actually equaled out. That's crazy. Cathro pit so many laps earlier.
It's equaled out. Cat's got less fuel. Viking is, someone say bad tyre wear. The only problem that Viking's got now is that he's definitely worse on tyres than Cat.
Yeah.
And he's got 5 and some change now to go. He's got to break a gap, because the longer this stays like this, the more you're going to fancy Kep to actually win this.
And Kep really needs to win this for Arix. That would be a swing of, I think, 6 points in their favour. And even though they've had a driver DNF, so they're not getting any points for him, they'll be getting another lot of points for Slim, and then Zico in P4, so he's beating Zico, and Wack's not even in the top 8 at the moment.
I'd say Wack is not having a good time. Also, Skyline overtaken by Wesley, Anru overtaken Auto, as we
he's finally got past Auto.
We kept in with the front here. But yeah, there's a lot that's happened here. Cat didn't have a great time. He made one of his mistakes, got a penalty, and quite frankly, he probably thinks he should be further up the road by now. Oh, it's Vikings just sliding his way through the chicane there, and you don't want to be doing that too many times.
Well, it's that pad life. He actually extended on Kepler with the slide, because that's what pad does. Next time someone complains, just show them that clip of Viking extending on Kepler while spinning, because he's on pad.
Yeah. It's absolutely incredible. Someone's asking what the Purple Boy's doing. We'll take a very quick look at
where are they? Down in P10,
10th, 11th,
P11,
12th.
P12.
Wack has had a
very
nightmare here, by the way.
Wack's only going to pick up 3 points for Project Platypus.
Chris is. I do feel sorry for Chris because we know he'd be battling up here if it wasn't for that one mistake.
Yeah, he did make love with the wall.
Zico also losing a large amount of time to Wesley. But we'll continue at the front here. Kep is being hunted down by his own teammate and also got a a lot better turn of events in turn 1 there against Viking. He needs to find, at this point, Viking's hanging on. He's breaking the gap. So
yeah, it's starting to look a bit ominous now. He's put the gap up to a second.
It's just
so Kepler's not going to be benefiting too much from the slipstream at this point. I
don't think Conrad DC'd. I think he's telling you a very different story.
No, he overran the pits and then
yeah, disappeared. Unless we got proof of that, we're under the impression that he overshot his pit lane because he's parked up at the end of the end of the final corner, where the pit after going past the pit lane. So
well, he could have DC'd and his car just rolled there. That is a possibility, but I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah, I think we're going to need proof of a DC there, admittedly, to believe that one. Looked pretty frustrated after Slim had held him up for 8 laps for no particular reason.
Yeah. He could have won this race, to be fair. I mean, Kepler should be miles up the road. The one stop was definitely the stronger strategy than pitting at the end of lap 1.
Oh, comfortably.
Because Kepler should be comfortably winning this race, and he's only a second back from winning the race as it stands. If Viking gets a penalty, Kepler wins the race, essentially. If he gets a time penalty. If he messes up Eau Rouge on 1 lap, Kepler wins.
Yeah, also, apparently Conrad thought the lobby crash, so nope, it was apparently a DC.
Okay.
Still want to see
funny, though.
Yeah, I was about to say, still want to see that footage. But yeah, 1 second now splits Viking and Cap, and 1.8 splitting Cap and Slim. So Slim has fallen quite drastically off the back of this group. Again.
Yeah.
Which is not too surprising as Cap just having a little bit of a wobble there on the exit of the bus stop chicane here as we go on to lap 26.
He's still lapping in the 16s as well, so really impressive lap times there.
It's only
from the top 2.
Quicker than, actually, 300ths of a second, actually. Quicker than what Kep did from Viking there.
Basically, Kep has to hope that Viking's tyres go off a little bit towards the end and he struggles on the last lap. I think that's his best bet because the gap's actually been extended to 1.5 now.
Yeah, that first sector was not Kep's friend there, and at this point, Kep's just hoping for a mistake, penalty, something that brings him back because Viking, bearing in mind, these 3 guys that we're currently driving are still three of the fastest drivers we've ever seen, especially in the server. Like, they're not nobodies. They know what they're doing on the track, but
that's why they're in the mix at the end of the race anyway. So other guys seem to have the 1 lap pace, it looked like, but they've made strategy errors or crashed into walls.
In terms of the Pegasus driver, yeah. Slim just too far back. So Slim's not going to have any bearing in this race anymore. Viking 1.7 seconds clear now. He started to break it. He's done what he needed to do. He just now needs to hope his tyres hold on for long enough.
Yeah. It looks like Wesley is at the head of quite a long line of cars here.
And surprisingly, none of them are within a second. However, there are a couple of drivers fighting their way through here, and it's both the Pegasus lads at the back of the grid with Wack 1.6 seconds further back. It's not been
Wack might be able to get Max with that 2-second penalty at least, so that would be 1 position for him.
Oh yeah, it's just gone up. Oh, Max has gone off the track! He's not even going to have to wait for the penalty! He's going to go to the inside now, and this should be made easy. Inside for Wack on Max, and
yeah, very easy overtake there for Wack. The first bit of overtake we've seen him to do today, actually. Yeah, he nearly lost it on the exit, but he managed to get it under control before the corner.
Ross almost put up another one. Ross has been about like 1 step away from putting up generational commentators' curse numbers in this race.
Honestly, maybe that has to be the real this week. Just the amount of drivers going off track. We don't have any solid overtakes. Only people making mistakes this week.
It's just going to be everyone. It's just going to be a shot. Everyone that Ross commentators cursed in 1 minute. But yeah, it looks like everyone's just starting to drive now. It looks like Skyline is starting to close on Wedley, maybe just a little bit.
Yeah, 17 flat, so that's very similar to the pace that the guys in P1 and P2 are setting.
Yeah, apparently some information.
They're on the same team though. P5, 6, and 7 for V2, so that's going to be some really solid points for them. Actually, is Andrew in P2? I think he's in ESP.
Yeah, I'd say Wedley's thing. Skyline and Andrew are in the same team, and they're in the team with Asador, who's currently 9th. Wedley is in the same team as Otto on the opposite side of both the V2 drivers here. But
maybe I'll learn by round 8 what team everyone drives for.
I had one earlier. But yeah, Pegasus is saying that Max has drove his first race here, first race full stop for 7 weeks after injuring in his hand. So it's not the worst of the comeback races. He probably would have wanted maybe a little bit better on a debut though. Again, getting to the end of the race has probably progressed 3.5 seconds. What the? What has Kep done?
Kep's lost it now. It's cruise control for Viking. He's just lapping slowly. He's actually lapped a little bit slower on that previous lap, and he's... Oh no, that's Kepler lapping slower. Maybe that's why he's lost all that time. Yeah.
And now Kep must have had a mistake in this lap because he's now...
He's 2.6 down on this lap as well.
Yeah, this is just all over the place. We thought it was Viking that was going to have mares under the tyres, but again, kept being put under pressure and kept buckling under pressure.
Yes.
Which is, I guess, round 3 for this race on that battle.
Right, I think it's time for me to start updating standings in preparation for the flag.
Yeah, at this point, it isn't Andrew causing that pressure this time. It's... I'm not entirely sure what's even causing the pressure on Kepler this time. He's just having a bit of a mare. Yeah, 2.5 seconds, 2:18.7 compared to the 2:17.0 of Vikings. So that, without a mistake, should be game, set, and match. However, we're driving an eSports league here, and there's been known we've had. I think Cat's been to the Pyro School of Bottling. I was about to bring that up. We've had some bottles before. And no one's immune to bottling. No one is. It happens. It gets everyone at some point. Some more than others, but it gets everyone at some point. So it might continue on today, but it's gonna take something special here with 1.5 laps of the race to go here for Viking to screw this up. Cat did just gain 0.3 of a second in one corner, but he's going to have to do that basically every single corner for the rest of the race from now on for him to get him on pace. And it's just simply not going to happen. Let's go further down the grid as we see if anyone else... Skyline must have had an issue! Skyline dropped to 8th! All the way down behind Otto. And that is not good news, because he was back behind Wedley about 30 seconds ago.
He was, and that must have been on this lap, because he's been lapping in the 2:18, so it's not the best pace, but... Not the worst either.
Last
and
lap,
now he's trying to get past Otto.
2:26 on the last lap.
There we go.
So he must have had a mistake.
10 seconds he's lost, that's big.
Huge mistake there for V2. Now Skyline's been now Skyline's got to put Otto under pressure and get maybe one place back to try and damage that, to actually stop any damage to that spin, given the fact that they were 6th, 7th and 9th prior. So... Somehow, if Skyline manages to get past Otto here, there's no damage done by losing 10 seconds, which is rather impressive. Yeah, but
you still got to get past a super quick Supra that does not... it's not easy to pass. Andrew was stuck behind him for ages earlier.
Yeah, that is true, but currently it's about less than 1/4 of a second that split the two, so I wouldn't be too far away from imagining Skyline having just a lot more pace.
Yeah.
And the slipstream also going to work here in advantage here of Skyline.
How skinny that Supra is compared to the beast behind it chasing it down.
Yeah, that McLaren is a wide boy. Yeah, I did just say that on an eSports stream. Get used to it. Get used to it. This is usually how we roll anyway. It looks like Skyline's going to have a run again here on Otto, but is he going to be able to do anything?
We are on the final lap, by the way, so Skyline's not got much of an opportunity at all to overtake Auto. Auto just has to nail these apexes and he should be alright. I don't think you've nailed that one though, to be honest. It took loads of curb.
We see as Lasource is immediately the worst corner we've seen Auto take all day. Here comes Skyline, he's got to run, they're going to go up overage now, and through Radion as the line is here for Skyline. If he can do it, he's within 2/10, he got the slipstream, he's definitely in a slower car in a straight line. But is he going to be able to take advantage? Maybe to the outside here. Once he pulls to the outside, he's going to have problems. And he's got late break. He's around the outside. Is he going to be able to hang it? He absolutely is. But he's going to slide the car, allow Auto back. Is he going to hold on? And Skyline, with the little bit of help from the board there, getting past Auto in the end.
What a move. That overtake of the day on the very last lap. You love to see it.
Absolute incredible move there. Viking's still 3.9 seconds ahead of Kepler at the front. So there's no real... Oh, Slim's got a penalty. There's no real chance of anything going awry here, surely, with Viking, who's got essentially LeBlanchemont and the bus stop chicane that splits him and a Project Platypus triple. And he comes to the line now. We've got 2 corners left. The bus stop chicane on lap 29 of 29. He does one perfectly. He goes round the second without issue. And Viking makes it 3 from 3 as he goes over the line. And Project Platypus is at 100% through Spa here in the ALR eSports League.
3 different drivers as well on 3 different weeks who take the win for Project Platypus. That is really emphasizing the strength and depth that this team has. Even if they haven't managed to get multiple drivers on the podium, that is still one hell of a performance from the Project Platypus team, it's got to be said. Double podium for the Arex boys is really going to keep the pressure up on them though as we head into round 4 and the rest of the season next week.
Yeah, Perry week 1, Iggy week 2, Viking week 3. It's a triple. And it's looking like Cap and Slim doing as much as they physically could in this race. Got a decent point haul. Conrad DC'd, so that's not really going to be much there. Zika's got 4th, so Project Platypus won 4. Wesley gets 5th in the end. Amru gets 6th. Skyline gets 7th. Auto gets 8th. Asador gets 9th, so the 10-second loss didn't actually do any damage in the end. Chris gets 10th for Pegasus, which, quite frankly, he's going to be thinking in a case of what if. Genrick gets 11th. Wack is going to get 12th. Max is going to come over the line for 13th, and Clemson is going to be buried at the bottom of the pack.
Yeah. So, I have nearly done the standings here. 14th was Clemson, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sound. So, we've got, in 5th place, we got Pegasus on 47 points. 4th place, we got V2 on 74. 3rd place, Panthera on 86. Then, obviously, there's going to be quite a big gap to P2. 139 points for Arex and 158 points for Project Platypus. So they've got a 19-point lead after 3 rounds.
Yeah, and at that point you start to think what the gap could have been if Comrade hadn't DC'd earlier on in the day. And quite frankly,
add 25 points to that. Add 25 points to that. They'd be leading the championship.
Quite frankly. Yeah, or if Slim had let him go, Slim had held him up quite significantly as well. We could be looking at a very different standings if things had turned out a different way, but they haven't. Viking won the race, and Project Platypus is in control 3 races into this season.
Yeah, but it's definitely not over, to be honest. Like, I know Project Platypus have increased their lead every single round, but Arex is so close behind. Like I said, they could be leading the championship right now. So if they continue doing what they're doing, it's going to be neck and neck at the end of the season, and it's going to come down to that last race, 100%.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, coming out of this week's show, moreover, each week, I don't know if it's just me, but each week has felt less and less convincing for Project Platypus. We're going along, they're getting the wins, they're extending the lead, but they're not convincing wins, and they're wins because someone else has screwed up.
Yeah, absolutely. There was mistakes there from Kepler, and obviously with Conrad's DC, they could have been a 1-2 for Arex tonight, I reckon.
Oh, comfortably. Slim also having a bit of a strategy in interest, I think, is the best way of putting it, with his own teammates. So we'll see how that everything unfolds there. Very intrigued to see how the conversations afterwards. But yeah, there's a lot that could have happened. Pegasus had a driver that, quite frankly, he'll be looking at that and going, he could have had fifth. He could have probably had Wedley had he not screwed up. So there's promise there for Pegasus. Obviously, Wedley is the shining light right now for Panthera, and
yes, absolutely. He's kept them in P3, and Otto's good defending, to be honest, for quite a long time probably helped that as well.
Yeah, and
Andrew had a good race as well for Panthera, so all in all, not bad. And V2 as well had a really strong round.
I was about to say another one of those.
Skyline finishing P7 in the end. He could have had top 5 though as well.
Yeah, there's another one of those where V2 did moments of brilliance, like Amru's defending on Cap and Green gaining it. He was just holding all of them up at that point. But then you get to the point at the end and you see Skyline throwing away 10 seconds in the chance of getting Wedley. He was only 1 second behind him at that point. And then you look at a case of they should be doing better. Of what we've looked at, it's telling us they should be doing better, but they're not. And I can imagine V2 is starting to get a little bit frustrated with how these races are starting to turn out.
Vikings just said in the chat, I've never had a race influenced by wind so much. So maybe a lot of these mistakes that we've been seeing were because of that really high side wind onto the track that we saw at the beginning, and maybe it changed direction as well.
It did drop from 6 to 4. That much I know did happen, but the drivers had to contend with stuff there. But they're going to they're going to have to contend with this kind of stuff all season. But yeah, that's a lot of strategy, a lot of things that just unfolded there. And at the end of the day, Project Platypus made it 3 from 3. And next week, we go to the Red Bull Ring. Potential of more rain.
It's going to be one massive train for an hour, I reckon, there.
Yeah, potential of more rain. And, well, if today's anything to go by, a rocket ship in a straight line might get you somewhere. But yeah, with that being said, it's been nice having you all here today. And we will see you guys same time next Sunday. In a bit.